Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Mapper Forward, friends, and thanks to our presenting sponsor, the Small Business Mastermind Group by Mapper Forward. Our small business mastermind groups are for small business owners that are looking to be around other people who they can learn from and who they can contribute to in an active discussion about the challenges that they are learning about. I am the business coach, and you can find out more details in the show notes below. Today on the podcast, we're asking the question, will the staff shortage that seems to be happening across the globe in coffee or in hospitality in general, will it end? And I'm here to tell you folks, I'm not sure. And anyone who I speak to about this subject isn't sure either. And when I say anyone I speak to, I mean people who are in human resources for bigger companies, people who are economists, are not sure if this is a permanent shift in our industry and if we will see a correction that will bring people back to the industry. Perhaps what we're going through right now is a correction. And what the correction would indicate is that in certain positions in our industry, we have neglected to pay attention to the needs of those employees. And so when we consider all that's happened over the last 12 months, as well as the shift in culture as Gen Y starts to enter, not Gen Y, Gen Z, I do this all the time. So as Gen Z enters our workforce, they have a new set of values that they require and demand, quite frankly, from our industry. And those values are misaligned mostly with the generation of small business owners. And right now we are seeing the consequence of that misalignment. And what that means is that we are being shown that if we aren't prepared to pay attention to the needs of this workforce that's coming into our industry, they are going to look for jobs in industries or with larger companies who are prepared to give them the attention that they require around their specific needs. So it's the flexibility that a lot of these bigger companies are offering that meet the needs of Gen Zers in a way that our small businesses cannot. And why is this the case? Well, because it takes a lot of effort and a lot of money to individually sit down with people that are working for you and map out an alternative value exchange than the traditional value exchange, which, let's be real, for baristas and entry-level roasters and roasters in general, hasn't been adequate. It's not typically a livable wage. And so we are now being held to task as an industry to fix this problem if we want this to change. Now, this isn't something that's going to happen to absolutely every single small business owner. We have clients in the mastermind groups that are thanking their lucky stars that they put the work in every day to make sure that they are meeting the needs of their staff beyond the money that they pay them. And they haven't lost any staff through the pandemic, nor through a lot of the changes that have happened in society and culture over the last 12 months. And that's fabulous, but that's not the majority of businesses that are experiencing that. The majority of businesses in our industry are absolutely experiencing a very challenging time around finding staffing. Businesses who I know are running fantastic operations are even finding it difficult to find staff and are calling staff from previous years to fulfill spots or shifts that they cannot fill. So is this going to end? I don't know. We may have seen a permanent shift in the perception of the value of being an employee in our industry. We cannot compete right now with larger companies that are enticing people who would typically enter our industry with wages and the other benefits that come from being larger businesses. The weight of those costs are usually what will bury a small business. So the alternative to that is, how do you create a business model and a business ecosystem that is more profitable so that you can spend more money on things that your workforce really need in your small business ecosystem. But it also requires you to communicate and have the business and communication and leadership acumen to see the value in sitting with your staff, creating a culture, and finding out what it is that they need as a group of people to want to conspire to your success, because you're conspiring to their success. It's never as straightforward as we all think to get into business. I'm just going to open a business, I'm going to sell a product, and I'm going to be profitable. Not today. These days, people want a great quality of life, whether they're at work or whether they're not at work. People are aspiring to that. And I'm so impressed with Gen Z and their ability to ask for those things. My generation, we were not really taught to say to our bosses, this is what we want, and we want to be happy at work, and we don't want to be abused at work, and we don't want to be sexually harassed at work, and you can't talk to me. That even if we had the courage to say that stuff, it usually fell on deaf ears. Gen Z are simply having more courage to ask these questions at interview and walk away from it if a potential employer doesn't meet their requirements. And I think it's wonderful. But that leaves us with a problem. And the problem is, we are going to see a lot of businesses closing because they cannot get staff. The burden of having to carry the weight of rent and of all of our fixed operating costs, while we're only able to open sometimes less than half the time and half the revenue that would usually get us over the line, just scrape over the line with regards to our profitability, is being diminished rapidly. So, just some food for thought there. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think that there will be a return of staff to the industry? Let me know in the comments below. Peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day.